about the treasurer's office and want to know everything too in depth about it. But you know, you should be getting your tax statements here pretty soon. And one thing I've done this year is I don't have my name on it. You know, when I took office, I had to use up over 100,000 Skip Schilberg envelopes. And, you know, I may have as many as 4 people running against me. So, you know, I'm all for competition, and the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. I think competition always, you know, gives you a better product, whatever happens. But said, if I don't make it, I don't want to have my name on 100,000 envelopes. They have to use up, you know. So, and also I think it's not a good idea. You know, I just don't feel quite right about it as far as, you know, I want people to vote for me because I've done a good job, I've been a good treasurer, not because you get some subliminal message from names on 100,000 envelopes like, you know, like some people do. It's kind of like free advertising that you're paying for, and you know, I just don't think that's something that a constitutional Republican who believes in limited government and the Republic should really be doing. We've gotten way out of hand, I think, on that. Do you have a question on it?
Just an observation on how do you explain big development?
Yeah.
It's up to each person, so however they want to do it. I guess she doesn't
have
feel
morals.
as convicted maybe as I do about that sort of thing. But actually we're making pretty good progress. Kind of like it's funny how long it takes to get legislation going, but I think we might have a lot of better bill this year on the Save My Home legislation, which of course would allow partial payments on property tax, any amount, any time, as long as it's electronic. And we've had some good talks in Olympia, and a lot of people are starting to get behind it because really it makes so much sense. And of course, a lot of I think the treasurers, they kind of get into this group thing. They're pretty, as treasurers, they're kind of a conservative lot. Hey, let's not shake the boat too much and all that. But, you know, disaster might happen. But I don't see how. I think, you know, in the state constitution at the very beginning, it says all power, you know, all political power is vested in the people of the state. So if we give all power to the people in the state, should we treat them as adults and let them decide how to budget their own property taxes? Yeah, that only makes sense because property taxes, you know, you pay this huge amount twice a year. And I remember when I got my auto insurance, you have to pay quarterly, and that was like a speed bump every 3 months. Whereas I was so glad to pay a few extra bucks, and when I could budget it monthly. And this would be the same way because you get people like Morgan Sanders, who went to Olympia with me, and he's the guy that came into my office that said, how come you won't take a check? You just want to start whittling away at his property taxes. I said, sorry, I can't do it unless I have a state law that allows me to do it. And he said, well, even the IRS will take this payment from me. And I said, well, nothing I could do, but if you want to help me get legislation passed, you can. We've gone to Olympia 3 different times, back and forth together, legislating for that. He's kind of like our poster child because, you know, he was an engineer. He was making $60,000 a year, and so he got a brain tumor, and suddenly he's down to $12,000 a year, and got behind his property taxes. But it just isn't that. You know, people lose their jobs, and then it takes them a while to get back on their feet, especially in this economy. Or people are on commission, like real estate agents. You might have one good year, and then the next year you're getting killed because of the economy. So, you know, you got 3 years, 36 months before you would go to foreclosure, but it gives people a fighting chance. And also people that are seasonal. You know, if you're a logger, or if you work at Silverwood or wherever, I know there are people that are seasonal, and helps them too. Teachers, for instance, too. And, you know, if they do get behind, then they're still paying 12%, and I think that's punitive enough. And on our investment fund, with the way bond rates are now, and the amount of liquidity, short-term money we have to keep in there to meet needs, you know, we're getting like 0.87. And that sounds awful, except we're like the number 2 county in the state, you know, as far as yields. I mean, a lot of them are getting like a lot worse than that. So here we are, people are worried, but I think the 12% we get on people willing to make a monthly payment or budget their monies would offset the amount of penalty revenue, you know, that we should lose. And actually, if you go to the state constitution, you know, the limit is 12%, but then there's a little disclaimer there, except for property taxes, you know, so that's where and if people get behind the property taxes, they're the ones that really, you know, nobody wants to lose their home, so they really are in dire need if they have gotten behind on their property taxes. And the other thing I'm working on too is, I've probably gone over my 3 minutes, but even to me, like all the bonds all the notes that the county has are kind of a big mystery. And you hear about, oh, let's vote for this bond, but it's not just say for the convention center. At the same time, you know, they'll actually work on getting a new bond to replace the old bond on something else, and all put it together, refinance old bonds, and then something of part of it might be for a Vista Stadium too, you know, because we have the concession stand there. Part of it might be for scrap. So it's really convoluted, but I'm trying to work on having a web page on the Treasurer's Office website that would list all the different notes that we have and all the different bonds we have, so you know people can follow it, be a lot more easier, because I do get a lot of questions on that. So are there any questions anybody has, burning questions about the Treasurer's Office? There being no questions, then I'll turn it back over to Scott. Thank you.